The morning had fully arrived. Sunlight filled the canyon and reflected off the scales of the Merkaba dragon. Hoodie sat quietly, still thinking about everything they had discussed about the sun, consciousness, and energy. But something else had been bothering him.
Dragon. If the sun powers life on this planet, and if our bodies are basically converting that solar energy through plants and food, and where does the energy inside of us come from when we feel renewed after sleep? Think about it. You go to bed exhausted, completely drained. You wake up the next morning refreshed, like your battery has been charged. But you didn't plug yourself into anything. Something inside you restored that energy. And when people meditate deeply, they say they can feel that same restoration happening without even sleeping. So what if the sun isn't just outside of us? What if there's a smaller version of that energy system inside us too?
The dragon's eyes narrowed slightly.
You're beginning to look in the right direction, Hoodie. Life on Earth depends on the sun. Plants absorb its light and transform it into chemical energy. Animals consume that energy. Humans convert it again into movement, thought, and action. That cycle is undeniable. But there is another layer to the system that many people overlook.
Your heart, my heart.
Yes, the heart is not merely a pump pushing blood through the body. It also produces the strongest measurable electromagnetic field generated by any organ in the human body. That field extends outward beyond the body itself. Now think about something interesting.
The sun generates a powerful electromagnetic field. The Earth also has its own magnetic field, and the human heart produces one as well. 3 different scales of energy systems, yet all operating through electromagnetic interaction. So you're saying the sun, the Earth, and the human body all function through similar energy principles?
In a way, yes. They exist at vastly different scales, but they all operate through natural forces that involve energy, magnetism, and rhythm. The sun's activity influences the solar system. Solar storms can affect Earth's magnetic field, satellites, and even electrical systems. Earth itself produces subtle vibrations and oscillations within its atmosphere and oceans. And within your body, the heart and brain generate electrical signals that regulate life.
That's wild. It almost sounds like everything is operating through rhythm or frequency.
Rhythm is fundamental to life. Your heart beats in cycles. Your brain operates through electrical patterns. The Earth rotates and produces environmental rhythms. The sun follows cycles of solar activity that rise and fall over time. When scientists study these systems, they often discover repeating patterns and harmonic relationships. Nature tends to organize itself through cycles.
So when ancient cultures talked about a sun within us, were they talking about the heart?
Ancient traditions often used symbolic language. The sun represented life, illumination, and vitality. The heart was commonly associated with the center of life within the body. So connecting the two was a poetic way of expressing the idea that life flows through us, just as energy flows through cosmos. But remember something important, Hoodie. The power of these ideas doesn't come from mystical claims alone. It comes from recognizing the real connections between biology, physics, and the natural world. Your body operates through electrical signals and rhythms. The planet operates through cycles. The sun drives the energy that sustains life. Understanding those relationships helps you see how deeply connected everything is.
Dragon. Something still doesn't make sense to me. If the sun is responsible for life on Earth, and if everything seems to move in cycles and rhythms, the plants, the animals, even our bodies, then how deep does that connection go? because I was reading something strange. The human heart beats around 72 times per minute. That's 4,320 beats per hour. And when you break down those numbers, they keep reducing to 9. Then I started seeing the same numbers appear everywhere. 432, 72, 144. Even the diameter of the sun is around 864,000 miles, which breaks down to the same numerical pattern. Dragon, why do these numbers keep repeating?
The dragon slowly lifted his head, eyes reflecting the sunlight.
You've stumbled onto something many ancient civilizations studied deeply: patterns and harmony in nature. The universe operates through cycles and rhythms. The Earth rotates, the planets orbit, stars go through life cycles. Your heart beats in repeating patterns. Humans have always searched for meaning in those patterns. Ancient cultures believed the cosmos operated like a great symphony, what philosophers once called the music of the spheres. The idea was that celestial bodies moved according to mathematical harmony, much like notes in music.
So those numbers, 432, 144, 72, they're connected to harmony.
They appear in many natural and mathematical relationships, but it's important to understand something carefully. Numbers themselves don't control the universe. They help humans describe patterns we observe in nature. Ancient architects, musicians, and philosophers loved these numerical relationships because they reflected balance and proportion. You see them in music tuning systems, geometry, architecture, calendar cycles, astronomical observations. When people notice the same numbers appearing across different systems, they often see it as a sign of harmony.
That explains why people talk about sacred geometry and sacred math.
Exactly. Ancient civilizations used mathematics to understand the cosmos. The pyramids, temples, and monuments built by early cultures often incorporated precise geometry aligned with stars, seasons, or cardinal directions. Not because they had mystical powers, but because they were careful observers of nature and the sky.
But Dragon, what about the connection to the heart? If the heart produces an electromagnetic field, and the sun also produces one, does that mean we're somehow connected?
Everything in nature operates through energy and physical forces. Your heart generates electrical signals that regulate your heartbeat. The sun produces enormous electromagnetic activity that affects the solar system. Earth has its own magnetic field protecting the planet. These systems exist at very different scales, but they are all part of the same physical universe governed by natural laws.
So when ancient cultures said the sun was sacred, it was because they understood how important it was for life.
Exactly. Without the sun, plants would not grow. The food chain would collapse. Earth's climate would freeze. Life as we know it would disappear. The sun is the engine of life for this planet. But the most important thing to remember is this: humans are not separate from the cosmos. The elements in your body were forged in ancient stars. The energy that fuels your life ultimately traces back to the sun. And the consciousness asking these questions is part of the universe trying to understand itself.
Dragon. I think I see where people get confused. People think it's about worshipping the sun. But it's not really that, is it?
The dragon let out a slow breath, almost like a low hum.
No, it never was. The ancients were not foolish, Hoodie. They weren't bowing to a ball of fire in the sky like they were lost. They were observing, and they understood something most people today ignore.
That the sun is everything.
That the sun is essential. There is a difference.
The dragon's eyes sharpened.
Without the sun, no plants, no food, no oxygen, no life. So when ancient people honored the sun, they were honoring the source of physical life. But they also understood something deeper.
The dragon leaned forward slightly.
They understood that what exists outside of you also exists within you.
The sun within us.
Exactly. Your heart. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field. The earth has one. The sun has one. These are not mystical ideas. These are measurable realities. Now think, Hoodie. Solar storms happen on the sun.
They affect Earth's magnetic field.
And studies show your heart responds.
So, when there are solar storms, our heart actually reacts.
Yes. Changes in solar activity can influence Earth's geomagnetic field, and the human body, especially the heart, responds to those shifts. Heart rate variability, rhythm changes, subtle but measurable. You are not separate from this system, you are inside it.
So when people say we're connected to the universe, they're not just speaking metaphorically.
Not entirely. Look at nature. Birds navigate using Earth's magnetic field. Sea turtles travel thousands of miles using it. Animals move with cycles humans barely notice, and yet humans, the most aware species, forgot to pay attention.
So the connection was always there.
It never left. It was simply ignored. And this is where people go wrong. They replace understanding with worship. Instead of studying the sun, instead of learning from it, instead of understanding its role in life, they either dismiss it or blindly idolize it.
So the real point isn't to worship the sun.
But to understand your relationship to it.
And if we understand that, then we understand ourselves better too.
Yes.
The dragon's voice dropped lower.
Because you are not separate from this system. You are energy, matter, rhythm, consciousness, all operating within an intelligent system. Call it nature, call it the universe, call it whatever you want, but it is not random.
So this isn't just science.
And it isn't just spirituality either. It is both. And the moment you stop separating the two, everything begins to make sense.
Dragon. I keep seeing the same thing everywhere. The sun. Everywhere we go, every story, every symbol, you keep bringing it back to the sun. So let me ask you straight. Are people wrong for thinking the ancients worshipped the sun?
But there's more, Hootie.
What do you mean?
You think the ancients built entire civilizations, aligned temples, carved symbols into stone, just to bow to the sky? They were teaching, not worshipping. They were trying to remind you of something you forgot. You lost the direct connection. I'm talking spiritually, Hootie. Do you understand?
Yes.
Structures, symbols, alignments. Everything they built was a blueprint of the body, the earth, the cosmos, all in one.
So Kemet, that's where this all leads, right?
That's where the remembrance begins.
But Dragon, simply we're already connected to the sun. Why don't we feel it like that anymore?
Because you've been disconnected from your own rhythm. The moment sunlight touches your eyes, even through your eyelids, your brain activates. Hormones shift. Your body wakes up. That's not belief. That's the sun activating you.
So when people say, God woke me up,
they're speaking truth, just without understanding it.
So the sun is literally controlling our cycle. When we sleep, when we wake.
Your entire rhythm, your body runs on it. Your heart responds to it, even during solar storms.
Your heart rate shifts before, during, after. You are reacting to something happening millions of miles away.
So we're not separate at all.
Never were.
And everything you're asking, everything you're starting to see, was already known. Keep moving. Kemet is not just a place, it's an understanding.
The sun, the body, energy. And it's not just one place, it's not just Kemet. India, Africa, all these ancient cultures, they were all saying the same thing.
Because truth doesn't belong to one land. It shows up wherever people were paying attention.
But then something happened. All that knowledge, it got replaced. The old gods, the ones connected to nature, the body, the cosmos, they disappeared.
They didn't disappear. They were removed. Think about it, Hoodie. The original teachings were about the sun, the body, energy, consciousness, nature, things you could observe, experience, verify. But those teachings give people power, awareness, independence, and that is dangerous to those who want control.
So they replaced it.
With belief, with faith without understanding, with systems that tell you to look outside yourself instead of within.
But the knowledge didn't completely disappear though, right?
No, it survived, in fragments. In Kemet, in the teachings of the yogis, in ancient texts across the world, they all spoke about the same thing, life force.
Prana.
Yes, different names, same principle.
They understood that the sun is not just light. It is energy that sustains life. Plants absorb it, animals consume it, humans convert it. But beyond that,
They believed you could work with it directly.
like what you were saying before about meditation,
Yes, breath, focus, awareness, practices designed to regulate the body and mind, not magic, not superstition, but methods.
so when they talk about prana, life force, they're talking about energy that exists everywhere.
Energy in many forms, heat, light, electricity, biological processes. The ancients grouped these ideas into a single concept because they understood it was all connected.
And the sun is the main source of that energy here.
For this planet, yes.
This is why every ancient culture spoke about it, not because they were worshipping blindly, but because they understood its role in life. And they were trying to teach people how to reconnect to it.
Yes, through observation, through discipline, through awareness of the body and environment. But remember this, understanding the sun, understanding energy, understanding the body, that's only the beginning. Kemet will show you how far they really took it.
I gotta go. My mum probably looking for me. I've been out here too long.
I understand.
I'm coming back though.
Remember what you've learned.
Light hit his face. He stepped outside and stopped. Then took a breath.
This is what I remember that day. When we start looking at this on a day-to-day level, we have to understand what the sun is actually doing for us and how it impacts our lives in real, practical ways. Across many ancient civilizations, there were practices, rituals, and exercises centered around the sun. These weren't random traditions, they were intentional. People understood there was a connection between the human body, energy, and the sun, and they built systems around maintaining that connection. But today, most people are not taught any of this. We're not taught how to properly interact with the sun, how to benefit from it, or how to understand its deeper role beyond just light and heat. And because of that, people either ignore it completely or misuse it without understanding. At the same time, you'll notice something interesting. More and more people are trying to reconnect spiritually. They're exploring yoga, meditation, breathwork, and ancient practices. But without proper understanding, people can approach these things the wrong way, without truly knowing how the body, environment, and energy systems interact. This leads to confusion. So the real question becomes, why aren't we taught the full picture? Why aren't we taught the direct connection between the sun, our biology, and our energy systems? Because once you understand that connection, it forces you to rethink everything, especially religion, belief systems, and where life actually comes from. Most people take the sun for granted. It's always been there, so they don't question it. They don't study it. They don't think about it beyond the surface level. But when you actually start digging into it, you realize it's not just there. It's actively sustaining everything. And that's where the deeper questions start. This is also where a lot of people get stuck when trying to explain these ideas to others, especially when it comes to the concept of Jesus and the sun. People ask, how does that connection even make sense? Now, yes, you can go into the common explanations. The zodiac, the equinoxes, the winter solstice, the 3 days of the sun, the cross of the zodiac, all of that. That information is out there. It's been discussed before. But that's surface level compared to what we're really talking about here. What's rarely discussed is the direct, biological, and energetic relationship between the sun and the human body, especially the heart. That's not something you're taught in school. That's not something mainstream conversations are having. Because once you start understanding that connection, it shifts your entire perspective. You start asking real questions. If life on this planet depends on the sun, if plants, animals, and human energy systems all rely on it, then what role does that play in what we call God? You begin to see that what has been presented to us through religion may be symbolic, coded representations of natural and cosmic processes. And that brings you back to something very simple. Go to the sun. Understand the sun. And even beyond that, go deeper. Go to consciousness. Because even when you look at ancient systems like the Egyptian creation story, everything begins not just with physical elements, but with awareness, energy, and the emergence of existence itself. Most people are not going to get it. That is the truth. And that is exactly what many of these texts mean when they say not everybody is going to make it. It is not simply about punishment in the way religion presents it. It is about consciousness. It is about who is able to rise above the material and who remains trapped in it. Heaven, in that sense, is exactly that higher state, consciousness, energy, and the power to create, the power to shape whatever world, whatever reality, whatever state of bliss aligns with your true nature. That is the real goal. That is what people should be striving for. But most are not. Most are caught in the hell of material existence. And when you look at the institutions that claim to guide humanity, you can see they are not even hiding it that much. Look at the Catholic Church. The symbolism is right there in plain sight. Solar imagery everywhere. Sun symbolism everywhere. They may not openly call it sun reverence, but the imagery tells the story. The Pope himself presents both sides of the symbolic system, the solar current in Christianity and the lunar current often associated with Islam. The point is control. The point is that these institutions understand both sides of the symbolism and move through both. It is right there in front of people. The irony is that many of those within these systems know exactly what they are doing. They know these are layered symbols, parables, and coded teachings. And one day, when the time is right for them, they will likely come out and say exactly that. It was metaphorical. They will explain that these stories were symbolic, that the Bible was speaking in parables, that Jesus as the Son points back to the Son, and that much of it was never meant to be literal in the way people were taught to believe. And by that time, it will be too late for outrage to matter. The generations that were most bound to literal belief will be gone. Future generations will inherit the explanation without carrying the same emotional attachment. They will simply say, "Now it makes sense," and that will be that. The deception will have completed its cycle, and those who orchestrated it will still stand above it, protected by time itself. So you have to understand what all of this is moving toward. And the sun is right there, in plain sight, at the center of it. Now there is another connection to all of this that I have only hinted at before, but it is major, and that is the dragon. The dragon is not random. It is not decorative mythology. It is not some meaningless fantasy symbol. It has a direct connection to the sun, to us, and to ancient knowledge. Some of you have already started to piece it together. Others have not. But it is there, and it cannot be ignored. Because when you step back and really look at the evidence, you see something strange. Dragons are everywhere in ancient memory. Everywhere. Across cultures, across civilizations, across mythologies. And the question becomes, why? Why the constant stories of dragons? Why the repeated images of men slaying dragons? Why the legends of knights and dragons? Why the obsession with wiping them out? Ancient civilizations described them. Cultures preserved them. China preserved serpent-like dragon imagery in detail. Across the world, dragons appear not as cartoon monsters, but as elongated serpent-like beings with legs, claws, and immense significance. And that is where the deception begins. Because what modern culture has done is separate dragons from what people now call dinosaurs. The reconstruction of dinosaurs has been presented in a way that strips away the dragon image, strips away the symbolic and spiritual meaning, and turns it into something else entirely. But when you look at the bones, the myths, the serpent imagery, the global memory, the connection is hard to ignore. The point is not that there were no ancient reptilian beings. The point is that the way they are presented to us has been carefully controlled. They do not want people seeing them through the lens of ancient symbolism. They do not want people asking why dragons mattered so much. And this also loops back into scripture. Take the Garden of Eden story. If the serpent was simply a snake, then why would the curse be, "Upon your belly shall you go"? If it was already a snake, it was already on its belly. That only makes sense if the being described was not originally a simple snake at all, but something else, something with limbs, stature, and a different form that was then reduced, brought low, cast down. That symbolism is not random. And when you connect that back to dragons, to serpent imagery, and eventually to solar symbolism, it opens another layer of the whole system. That is why this cannot be ignored. There is too much there. Too many symbols, too many stories, too many repeated patterns. And once you begin to see through the entertainment, through the distractions, through the surface level explanations, you realize there is so much more to understand. There is more out there than what most people are willing to see. And if you can see past the surface, if you can see beyond the programming, then you begin to understand that all of this is pushing you toward one thing: transition. A transition out of confusion, a transition out of falsehood, a transition into deeper sight. And that is where the real work begins. You have to understand the importance of this, because what's happening is simple. They're conditioning people to become comfortable, attached, and satisfied with the material world, so that you never question your spiritual existence or where your consciousness goes when this body is done. And the truth is, at some point, everybody is going to face that question, especially as you get older, when death starts to feel real, when it's no longer just an idea but something approaching you. That's when people begin to panic. That's when people wish they had understanding. That's when people wish they had done the work. And a lot of them won't have it. Don't let yourself be haunted by that moment. Don't wait until fear forces you to ask questions you should have been asking your whole life. Because if you've been doing the work, mentally, spiritually, consciously, then you've already started preparing. You've already been building your awareness. You've already been feeding your consciousness with the kind of knowledge that allows it to evolve. And that's the point. The goal is to reach a level where your consciousness is no longer bound to this physical cycle, to transcend it, to move beyond it, to step outside of that repetitive loop. Now, when you go back and actually pay attention to the teachings, especially the ones people take literally, you start to see something deeper. Because what is being said isn't random. When you really look at it, the message is clear. Jesus represents the sun, the light of the world, walks on water, controls the elements, dies and is reborn. All solar symbolism. But here's the part people miss. The message isn't just telling you what Jesus is. It's telling you what you are. You are that same principle in human form. And they show it to you over and over again. Look at the imagery. Look at the symbolism. Look at the language. Open your heart to Jesus. Let Jesus into your heart. Jesus lives within you. What are they really pointing to? The connection between the sun and the heart. Your heart, your internal sun, is right there in your chest. That energy center, that electromagnetic field, that life force. It mirrors what's happening on a larger scale with the sun itself. They've been showing you this the whole time. But most people take it literally instead of symbolically. Even when you go into the scripture itself, the symbolism continues. When it describes the piercing of Jesus' side and the release of blood and water, people read it as just an event. But when you step back, you start to see layers. The heart, fluid, life force, circulation, energy. It's all connected. The sun drives the water cycle. The sun sustains life. The heart circulates life within the body. Macro and micro, same pattern. And even when you look deeper into the details, the numbers, the structure, it's all encoded in a way that points back to the same underlying principles. Cycles, energy, rhythm, connection. It's not random. It's symbolic. It's layered. And it's meant to be understood, not just believed. That's the difference.